Joseph has a full reunion with his brothers and his dad. Looks like we're in for a little bit of a treat here. Welcome back to another episode of Breaking Bread with Roy. And as always, I'm your host, Roy. Looking forward to the end of this story. Those of you who don't know, we sit down and we read the Bible every day. I will sit down and read the Bible. Every once in a while, I'll have myself a little guest. Right now, we're working our way through Genesis. We left off at Genesis 44, right amongst where Joseph's brothers come to visit him in Egypt. And while he's in Egypt, they come to collect food. He puts his brothers to the test to see if they're still mean like they used to be. They're one last test. He's about ready to send them back and say that Benjamin has to stay. And Judah, the oldest brother, pleads with Joseph. Says, please, it'll kill my dad if you keep Benjamin. And that's pretty much where we left off at. And Judah had told Joseph the story of the conversation that they had and what that they had with their dad, saying, I can't lose another kid. And so that's where we left off, right there. And Judah was talking to Joseph and telling him the story. So we'll see if Joseph actually has a change of heart. Does he test them again? Because he's already tested them twice to see if they're still the mean brothers that they used to know. We don't know what's going to happen, but let's continue in the story. If you already know, like I said before, don't spoil it for anybody else, right? If you don't know, here we go. Genesis chapter 45. And guys, we are very, very close to the end. I think we'll probably actually be able to finish Genesis on this episode. I think we go to the 4 chapters left, I believe. So we might even be able to finish it. We'll try to finish Genesis today. Here we go. Then Joseph could not refrain himself before all of them that stood by him. And he cried, Cause every man to go out from me. And there stood no man with him. While Joseph made himself known unto his brethren, he cleared the chamber. Joseph cleared the chamber, and only his brothers were left. And he wept aloud, and the Egyptians and the house of Pharaoh heard. And Joseph said unto his brethren, I am Joseph. Doth my father yet live? And his brethren could not answer him, for they were troubled at his presence. You are what? You are who? No way. Imagine how shocked they are. You're Joseph? And Joseph said unto his brethren, Come near to me, I pray you. And they came near, and he said, I am Joseph, your brother, whom ye sold into Egypt. Now therefore be not grieved, nor angry with yourselves that ye sold me into hither. For God did send me there to preserve your life. For these 2 years hath the famine been in the land, and yet there are 5 years in which they shall neither be earing nor harvest. And God sent me before you to preserve a posterity in the earth, and to save your lives by a great deliverance. So now it was not you that sent me hither, but God, and he hath made me a father to Pharaoh, and lord of all of the house, and ruler throughout all the land of Egypt. So, we'll come back to that. Let's just continue for a minute. Verse 9. Haste ye, and go up to my father, and say unto him, Thus saith thy son Joseph, God hath made me the lord of all Egypt. Come down unto me, tarry not. And thou shalt dwell in the land of Goshen, and thou shalt be near unto me, thou and thy children, and thy children's children, and thy flocks, and thy herds, and all thou that hast. And there will I nourish thee, for there are 5 years of famine, lest thou and thy household and all that thou hast come to poverty. Behold, your eyes see, and the eyes of my brother Benjamin, that is it, my mouth that speaketh unto you, and ye shall tell my father of all my glory in Egypt, and of all that ye have seen, and ye have haste and bring down my father hither. Hurry up, bring my father. And he fell upon his brother Benjamin's neck and wept, and Benjamin wept upon his neck. Moreover, he kissed all his brethren and wept upon them. And after that, brethren talked with him. Wow. That's a wonderful. That's not the ending, but that's still quite a wonderful story. We're going to pause right there for a minute. He finally breaks down and says, "Hey guys, I'm your brother. I'm your brother." And he's saying the one thing that really sticks with me is he says, "Don't be mad at me. I am the brother that you sold into Egypt. You sold me." And he says, "Don't be mad." He says, "It was God that sent me." He goes, "You didn't sell me." Well, he did say you sold me, but it wasn't you that sent me. He said, "God sent me." And that was, he went through all of that time. I don't know whether he knew it that whole time, but at this point, towards the end, right before when he reveals himself to his brothers, he says, "Don't be mad." And somewhere between when he's there in Egypt and this point, he realizes that it's not this brother's doing. And I can't imagine not being mad at my brothers if they would have ever done something to me. But Joseph had a lot of faith in God. That was pretty wonderful. So he says, "Hey, go back, get Dad, get all the family, bring everybody down. We're going to hang out over here." Basically, he's what he says. He goes, "You bring everybody." He's bring everything you got. We're going to feed you. We got 5 more years of famine. Don't worry, we've got enough food for everybody. Right? So he says, "Get everybody, get down here now." And so he falls upon their necks, and he would just hugs and kisses them, and and he's happy, and they just kind of have a little bit of a reunion. Remember, everybody's sent out of the room so they can have this time. So we're going to pick up the rest of the journey here because it's not over yet, but that was a pretty exciting moment. Verse 16, "And the fame thereof was heard in Pharaoh's house, saying, Joseph's brethren are come, and it has pleased Pharaoh well and his servants. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, Say unto your brethren, this do ye, lade your beasts, and go, get into the land of Canaan." He said, "Lade" is get them ready to go, or saddle them up, or something. Basically it's getting them ready to travel. "Take your father and your households, and come unto me, and I will give you the good of the land of Egypt, and ye shall eat the fat of the land. Now thou art commanded, this do ye, take ye wagons out of the land of Egypt for your little ones, and for your wives." They don't have to walk or ride on horses. They can take the Pharaoh's wagons. "And for your wives, and bring your father, and come. Also, regard not your stuff. For this good of all the land of Egypt is yours." He says, "Forget everything you got. Just get your people and get out here," he's saying. So to me, it sounds like the Pharaoh is also kind of a little excited for him. This is a family reunion. This is a big deal. He said, "Just forget all your stuff. You don't need it." Sounds like what he's saying, right? At least it does to me. Verse 21, "And the children of Israel did so. And Joseph gave them wagons according to the commandment of Pharaoh, and gave them provisions for the way. To all of them he gave each man changes of raiment, clothing. But to Benjamin he gave 300 pieces of silver and 5 changes of raiment." You think he had a favorite brother? Maybe. "And to his father he sent after his manner 10 asses laden with the good things of Egypt, and 10 she-asses laden with corn and bread and meat for his father by the way." So he had 10 donkeys, all with stuff to go. "So he sent his brethren away, and they departed. And he said unto them, See that ye fall not out of the way. And they went up out of Egypt, and came into the land of Canaan unto Jacob their father, and told him, saying, Joseph is yet alive. He is governor over all the land of Egypt. And Jacob's heart fainted, for he did not believe them." Right? I mean, how could you believe that kind of story? Ooh, Joseph is what? I can imagine, right? "And they told him of all the words of Joseph, which he had said unto them. And when he saw the wagons which Joseph had sent to carry him, the spirit of Jacob their father revived. And Israel said, It is enough. Joseph my son is yet alive. I will go and see him before I die." So something really strange is to me about this one is, and that's the end of 45, but something I'm I struggle with, and I don't know what it is, and I don't know how much time has passed between this moment, but as I'm reading this, and I remember when Joseph originally asked his brothers, and he said, "How is thy father?" And they said, "He is alive, and he is well." And the last thing he says here is, Israel said, "It is enough. Joseph, my son, is yet alive. I will go and see him before I die." And it sounds to me as if he's sick. So I don't know. I have no idea, no clue. So if you would do me a favor, if you know, if you have any ideas, please post down in the comments, if you would. Please let me know. We can share it with everybody, and everybody can take a look and see. So help us out here if you have an idea. We're going to continue on, verse 46. And Israel took his journey. Remember, Jacob is Israel. God changed his name, Jacob, to Israel, but they still use the same. And Israel took his journey with all that he had, and came to Beersheba, and offered sacrifices unto God of his father Isaac. And God spake unto Israel in the visions of the night, and said, Jacob, Jacob. And he said, Here am I. And he said, I am God, the God of thy father. Fear not to go down into Egypt, for I will there make of thee a great nation. I will go down with thee into Egypt, and I will also surely bring thee up again, and Joseph shall put his hand upon thine eye. And Jacob rose up from Beersheba, and the sons of Israel carried Jacob their father, and their little ones, and their wives, in the wagons which Pharaoh had sent to carry him. And they took their cattle and their goods, which they had gotten in the land of Canaan, and came into Egypt, Jacob and all his seed with him, his sons and his sons, his sons and his sons' sons, his grandchildren, with him, his daughters and his daughters' daughters, and his granddaughters. And all his seed brought he with him into Egypt. So all of his generations, everybody who's alive, they came into Egypt. Verse 8. And these are all the names. Okay, so here we go. I think we're going to go right here, if I remember correctly. We're going to go through the rest of this chapter 46 is all of the family of the brothers. And remember, there's 12 brothers, so bear with me on this one. I'm going to read through it. I'm going to get through this. I'm going to pronounce the best I can. Just remember, I'm doing the best I can with these pronunciations. And bear with me, because it goes a few verses, and I think it goes all the way... I believe it goes all the way into 21 or 23, something or other. So we'll get through the rest of this. Here we go. Verse 8. And these are the names of the children of Israel, which came into Egypt, Jacob and his sons. Reuben, Jacob's firstborn. And I want to say this real quick. I think there's a reason why they did this. There's a very specific reason why, that they actually have. They wrote it down in here because they actually have records of Jacob's family and his lineage, and they're able to track it. I believe that's why they did it very specifically. It had a purpose, and I believe that's why. Lineage is important, I think, in the Bible here. I think it's really important you can know who's connected to who, and you might get confused throughout the Bible when you see lineages, but I believe it's important. Okay, here we go. Let's get through this. And the sons of Reuben, Hanok, and Phalu, and Hezron, and Carmi. And the sons of Simeon, Jenuel, and Jamin, and Ohad, and Zachin, and Zohar, and Saul the son of Canaan, Iddish woman. And the sons of Levi, Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. The sons of Judah, and Onan, and Shelah, and Pharez, and Zarah. But Er and Onan died in the land of Canaan. And the sons of Pharez were Hezron and Hamul. And the sons of Issachar, Tola, and Phuvah, and Job, and Shimron. And the sons of Zebulun, Sered, and Elon, and Jaleel. These be the sons of Leah. So we're going to go into Leah's sons, because they're not... remember, Leah was one of his wives. These be the sons of Leah, which she bare unto Jacob in Padanaram. This was before they moved. With his daughters, Dinah. And I want to reiterate, sorry, If you recall, Leah was the wife that had 8 children, if I'm not mistaken. But this was way back. This has been a while now. Jacob in Padanaram with his daughters Dinah. All the souls of his sons and his daughters were 30 and 3. So the lineage is about 33, is basically. And the sons of Gad, Ziphion, and Haggi, and Shuni, and Esbon, Eri, and Arodai, and Areli. And the sons of Asher, Jimnah, and Ishua, and Isui, and Beriah, and the Sarai, their sister. And the sons of Beriah, Heber, and Malchiel. Verse 18. And these are the sons of Zilpah, who Laban gave to Leah his daughter, and these she bare unto Jacob, even 16 souls. So there's 16 children apparently. The sons of Rachel, Jacob's wife, Joseph and Benjamin. So, and if you remember, I want to take a little flashback right there. If I pause, that's verse 19. The sons of Rachel were Jacob's wife. That was his younger wife, if you recall, and she had been barren while Leah was having the babies. And finally God opened up Rachel's womb, remember, and the first baby that she had was Joseph, and then the last one was Benjamin. So she had the last 2, and they were actual brothers, kind of like instead of half brothers, they were brothers. If my lineage is correct, and I could be wrong, so if you want to correct me on that one, I believe that all of the rest of their brothers were from Leah, but Joseph and Benjamin were actual brothers, and they weren't what we today would call half brothers. I don't know if that's the same, if it mattered to them, but anyhow, we'll get back to it. The sons of Rachel, Jacob's wife, Joseph and Benjamin. And unto Joseph in the land of Egypt were born Manasseh and Ephraim, and Asenath, the daughter of Potipharah, the priest of Onber, unto him. The sons of Benjamin were Bela, and Becher, and Ashbel, Gerah, and Naaman, Ehi, and Rosh, Muppim, and Huppim, and Ard. These are the sons of Rachel, which were born to Jacob. All the souls were 14. So 14 children between Jacob and Rachel. Let me say that at least 14 as far as the generation of between Rachel and Jacob. And the sons of Dan, Hushim, and the sons of Naphtali, Jeziel, and Guni, and Jezer, and Shillem. These are the sons of Bilhah, which Laban gave unto Rachel his daughter, and she bare these unto Jacob. All the souls were 7. And the souls that came with Jacob into Egypt, which came out of his loins, besides Jacob's sons' wives, all the souls were 66. Now, I don't know exactly how they do the counting. I know 60 is 60. So if he was 66, I believe he's 66. I'm not exactly sure how they figure the math on that one. I had to look that one up. So, but when 60 is 60, I guess it's. I'm gonna if I had to guess, it would be times 20, 40, 60. So 2 score would be 40, 3 score would be 60, and then it was 3 score plus 10 would be 70. I'm assuming. If you know, could you help us out and let us know how that math works out and how that specifically? But I believe that's how it goes. So if it was 2 score and 10 would be 50, if I'm not mistaken, and then 3 score would be 60, and so 3 score and 6 would be 66, right? I know that sounds a little confusing. Verse 27, continue on. The sons of Joseph, which were born him in Egypt, were 2 souls. All the souls of the house of Jacob, which came into Egypt, were 10. So I believe 10, 60 is 3 score, so that would be 70, if I'm not mistaken. Please let me know if my math is my adding is correct in all this. So we'll continue with verse 28. And he sent Judah before him unto Joseph to direct his face unto Goshen. And they came into the land of Goshen. And Joseph made ready his chariot and went up to meet him, to meet Israel his father, to Goshen, and presented himself unto him. And he fell on his neck and wept on his neck a good while. The kind of reunion that you would imagine, just stand there probably just hugging for a minute. It's been a long time at this point. And Israel said unto Joseph, Now let me die, since I have seen thy face, because thou art yet alive. And then Joseph said unto his brethren, and unto his father's house, I will go up and shew Pharaoh, and say unto him, My brethren and my father's house, which were in the land of Canaan, are now come unto me. And the men are shepherds for their trade, and hath been to feed cattle, and they have brought their flocks and their herds, and all that they have. And it shall come to pass, when Pharaoh shall call to you, and shall say, What is your occupation? Then ye shall say, The servant's trade hath been about cattle from our youth, even until now, before we and our fathers, that we may dwell in the Goshen, for every shepherd is an abomination unto Egyptians. So that part was, I'd have to read that one again. So that ye shall say, Thy servant's trade hath been about cattle from our youth, even until now, both we and also our fathers, that we may dwell in the land of Goshen, for every shepherd is an abomination unto the Egyptian. Sounds like they'd shepherders or shepherds are an abomination in Egypt. Not positive. If anybody has an idea on that last verse, Genesis chapter 46 and verse 34. If you have any ideas on that one, if you let know what that means, why was it an abomination? If anybody knows that one, I'd appreciate that. That would be great. So that's the end of 46. And, well, it looks like all the family is now there. We got all the history. So we now have to just kind of continue along to, we're working on a verse, I did it again. My apologies. Chapter 47. And I think exactly what's going to happen is I'm going to, I'll finish up 47. There's 50 chapters in Genesis, so I think on the next one I'll be able to finish the last 3. So I miscounted a little bit, but I'll do a 47 right now. So I'll just leave us 2 chapters the next time, and then we'll break on there, and I'll be able to start into Exodus, well, probably be tomorrow or the next day. So we got a couple more days of finishing them up, Genesis here. So, well, one more day. So, well, let's finish up, let's do chapter 47. And Joseph came and told Pharaoh and said, My father and my brethren and their flocks and their herds and all that they have are come out of the land of Canaan. Pardon me. And behold, they are in the land of Goshen. And he took some of his brethren, even 5 men, and presented them unto Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto his brethren, What is your occupation? And they said unto Pharaoh, Thy servants are shepherds, both we and also our fathers. And they said moreover unto Pharaoh, For to sojourn in the land are we come, for thy servants have no pastures for thy flock. For the famine is sore in the land of Canaan. Now therefore we pray thee, let thy servants dwell in the land of Goshen. And Pharaoh spoke unto Joseph, saying, The father and thy brethren are come unto thee. The land of Egypt is before thee. The land of the best land make thee thy father and brethren to dwell. In the land of Goshen let them dwell. And if thou knowest any men of activity among them, that make them rulers over my cattle. So he says, guys, take the best land. The land that they figured is the best is in Goshen. And they said, go ahead, take Goshen, it's yours. You know, you're golden as far as we're, Pharaoh's saying, you're good as far as we're concerned. Take what you want. He sounds very excited and happy. And he says, oh, by the way, he says, and if thou knowest of any man of activity among them, then make them rulers over my cattle. So it sounds to me like if anybody, if anybody's the wiser, they don't have anything to do, or anybody needs anything to do, let them rule over my cattle, since everybody is herders, right? He said everybody's a shepherd. So, and it sounds to me like he said, if anybody needs something to do, put them in charge of my cattle. Now, I'm not sure, but that's what it sounds like. Verse 7, and Joseph brought in Jacob his father and set him before Pharaoh, and Jacob blessed Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto Jacob, how old art thou? Jacob said unto Pharaoh, the days of the years of my pilgrimage are 130 years. Few and evil have the days of the years of my life been, and have not attained unto the days of the year of my life, my fathers and the days of their pilgrimage. And Jacob blessed Pharaoh, and went out from before Pharaoh. In verse 11, and Joseph placed his father and his brethren, and gave them a possession in the land of Egypt, and the best of the land, in the land of the Ramses, and as Pharaoh had commanded. And Joseph nourished his father and his brethren, and all his father's household with bread, according to their families. And there was no bread in all the land, for the famine was very sore. So with the land of Egypt and all the land of Canaan fainted by the reason of the famine. And Joseph gathered up all the money that was found in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan for the corn which they had bought with Joseph the money into Pharaoh's house. And when money failed in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came unto Joseph and said, give us bread, for why should we die in thy presence? For the money faileth. And Joseph said, give your cattle, and I will give you for your cattle, if money fail. And they brought their cattle unto Joseph, and Joseph gave them bread in exchange for horses, and for the flock, and for the cattle of their herds, and for their asses, and he fed them with bread for all their cattle for that year. So he's basically saying, if the money's no good, trade me. Stock any kind of cattle you got. Cattle being any kind of domesticated creatures, right? Bring them, and we can trade for food, and you guys can eat, and let us worry about the cattle. What are they going to do with them? Maybe they become food. When that year was ended, they came unto him the second year, and said unto him, we will not hide it from my Lord, how that our money is spent. The Lord also has our herd of cattle. There is not aught left in the sight of the Lord, but our bodies and our lands. Wherefore shall we die before thine eyes, both we and our lands? Buy us and our land for bread, and we and our land will be servants unto Pharaoh, and give us seed, that we may live and not die, and the land be not desolate. And Joseph bought all the land of Egypt for Pharaoh. For the Egyptians sold every man his field, because the famine prevailed over them. So the land became Pharaoh's. So everybody was using their land as in trade. They're saying, we're going to give you our land, just give us some food. Please give us some food. And remember, they had so much stored up. It was unimaginable, the amount that they had stored up. And that is one way that Pharaoh was able to grow Egypt. And that's how it became so vast. And as for the people, he removed them to cities from one end of the border of Egypt, even to the other end thereof. Only the land of priests bought me not, for the priests had a portion assigned them of Pharaoh, and did eat their portion which Pharaoh gave them. Wherefore they sold not their lands. Priests didn't have to sell anything, because they had their own portions all set already. Then Joseph said unto the people, behold, I have bought you this day and your land for Pharaoh. Lo, here is seed for you, and you shall sow the land. And it shall come to pass in the increase that ye shall have the 50th part unto Pharaoh, and 4 parts shall be your own for seed in the field, and for your food, and for them of their households, and the food of your little ones. He's just divvying up when the seed starts to grow and they're able to start growing again, the crops. This is what he said. This is for you. This is for us. And they said, thou hast saved our lives. Let us find grace in the sight of my Lord, and we'll be Pharaoh's servants. And Joseph made it a law over the land of Egypt unto this day, that Pharaoh should have the 5th part, except the land of the priests only, which became not Pharaoh's. So a 5th was to be Pharaoh's, except for that of the priests, because the priests, they had their own. Verse 27. And Israel dwelt in the land of Egypt in the countryside of Goshen, and they had possessed therein, and grew and multiplied exceedingly. Jacob lived there in the land of Egypt for 17 years, so the whole age of Jacob was 147. So from the time that they first came into Goshen, into Egypt, and in Goshen, it was, remember, they said that Jacob was 130 years, and so now it's 17 years since they've been reunited, and now he's saying it's 147 years, so it's been 17 years. And the time drew nigh that Israel must die. And he called his son Joseph and said unto him, If now I have found grace in thy sight, put, I pray thee, thy hand under my thigh, and deal kindly for truly with me. Bury me not, I pray thee, in Egypt. But I will lie with my fathers, and thou shalt carry me out of Egypt, and bury me in the burying place. And he said, I will do as thou said. And he said, Swear unto me. That he sware unto him. And Israel bowed himself upon the bed's head. I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to mark this off. We're going to read 48 another time. So Jacob knows he's going to pass. He knows his time is up. He's 147 years old. And it's about time. It's about time. And it was the end of his life. He was probably a lot happier. Knowing that his family was all together, and the family just grew, and they were in a good place. But they had a lot to go through, even as a family, before this happened. So there was a lot of things that happened in that family, and they managed to, and that's kind of something I took out of this one, is they managed to get through it as a family. And I think it had a lot to do with Joseph and his mentality. He just was not angry with anybody. And so I think that really speaks a lot about Joseph. And I think that was really cool about, no matter what they did. And not only did he wasn't mad at him, he didn't just say, okay, I'm not mad at you, now go. He said, bring everybody. Right? I want you close to me. I want my family. And so they stayed together in Goshen. The whole family, they stayed there in Goshen, and they just multiplied. And so the family was very large, it seems. So we're going to leave it right there. And we're close to the end. Like I said, we got 2 more chapters. So let's pray, shall we? Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for this story, Lord, and even though it's not over yet, there's something to be said about this. And Lord, I know for me, I want to say this, that no matter what, when people do us wrong, I ask for patience and grace, Lord, and forgiveness to those who may do me wrong. I don't know why. We don't know why it's happening. We don't know what's going on, but we know that you're there with us. No matter what it is, we know that you're there with us. We know that you know. And ask for patience and wisdom whenever we go through something, Heavenly Father. And I ask that you would just give us the wisdom and the wherewithal and the understanding that we need to double up and really truly look to you when we're going through these things, and that you would be our guide. I ask this in your name, Father. Amen. Well, we're almost done with the story of Joseph, and we're going to have 2 more chapters before we finish up. So this has been this has actually been a pretty good trip so far. A nice little journey. I've never gotten through a full book of the Bible, so I'm actually really excited about this, and so far it's been good for me. But I'll address this a little bit more on the first one and what this means to me. So on our last, pardon me, on our last 2 chapters of Genesis, it'll be a little bit short. So I think I'm going to share a little something with you. So stay tuned. I got a little bit extra, a little more than just story for you that I would like to share with you. So if it's interesting to you, it's something you might be interested in, come on back for chapters 48. For 48, 49, and 50. And we'll finish up the book of Genesis and hear a little bit of something extra. God bless you. And everybody, don't forget to spend some time praying on your own. Make sure that, we spend some time praying with our Heavenly Father every single day. And also sit down and do some reading of your own too. I appreciate those of you who come and see me, and those of you who sit with me and listen. But don't forget to please do take some time on your own as well. God bless everybody.